I always knew this day would come. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Jessie Naylor's final episode of 49ers After Dark. He said something on Twitter that really pissed me off, and now we just can't be colleagues anymore. No, Jessie is very successful. Jessie, why don't you tell people what you've been doing these days?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think most people that follow me and watch my content know that this is not a full-time gig for me by any means. It is something that I really enjoy, and it's not going to stop. But I've been very fortunate that the channel's growing and opportunities keep popping up. And so I've recently accepted an opportunity with Bleacher Report where I'll be on with them Thursday and Friday. And it's adding more and more things to my plate. Already a full-time job, already a family coaching my son, and it's just things have got to go. And unfortunately, 49ers After Dark is one of those things. So, but dude, we've been 4 years almost, Grant. Four freaking
4 years. I'm so proud.
So much. It was.
I kind of look at this as like you graduating from like the Cohn University or internship program or whatever you want to call it. Because like, I mean, when you started out, you were just starting a YouTube channel. Like you'd be down to work for free because it's all about building. And now you've pretty much outgrown that. And now you're getting paid to work and you got your own ecosystem. And I mean, Coach is going to get there and Ryan's going to get there. And I mean, eventually this is just what happens. So I think I'm proud. I think it's really cool. And I'm sure we're still going to be doing Niners Collective, which we just did. We're still going to be doing 4-Man Front, which will be on my channel once every 4 weeks. So we're still going to be working together multiple times a week. And I'm sure we'll have to, for special occasions, bring out the Niners After Dark here and there. But essentially, I didn't even say that. This is it. This is the last episode of all time. I don't know why I did that. Sorry. Okay, let's start the show. Enough. All right, man.
So actually, real quick, I didn't ask you this, but I do want to reminisce for just 1 second. I have to say, what you just did really reminded me of my favorite episode we ever did. And I think it was the final episode before the draft where they took Trey Lance and we were figuring out who was it going to be. And I remember Waruna sent through a super chat and he asked, how did Mac Jones get his 100 mil? Because remember the video came out of him being drunk in a club. He's like, 100 mil. He's like, where did he get the 100 million? And from that point on, that show was off the rails, man. We had so much fun leading up to that. So I just wanted to shout
that was out. A great show. We got to find that. We got to unearth that one because I don't think we could stop giggling the whole time.
It was great.
All right, let's talk Niners for one last time. They're waiting for a defensive coordinator. If you had your pick, who do you think would be the perfect man for the job?
Man, well, I think Robert Saleh is the perfect guy from the standpoint that Robert Saleh knows this system. He knows the players of this team, more importantly, and they love Robert Saleh. So he's the best choice because Kyle Shanahan, I don't think, wants to switch anything up. So if he's available, he's got to be the guy. I personally would love for them to go a different direction, but just knowing Kyle, knowing this team and how finicky the players are, Robert Saleh is like the right choice if he's available. But from the beginning, it did feel like Robert Saleh was going to get a head coaching position. Now, that's not for sure, but the Jaguars position always made sense from the standpoint that the Jacksonville Jaguars, who wants to really work for Jacksonville? Trent Baalke's still there. That team's been a mess. I don't know that anybody wants to be there. Robert Saleh just came off of being fired. He knows that opportunities may not pop up again in a year or two. Like he could go somewhere, that team could flop. He may never get the chance again. So if there is a team, even if it's not the best organization, you've got to take that one more chance and just hope that you can figure it out, learn from your mistakes and move on from that point. So I think that that's a real possibility. If he doesn't get the job, Robert Saleh is the right guy. But for me, there is somebody out there that I would love to have that is completely opposite of what they've done. Somebody who Kyle Shanahan, we also know, Grant, is not going to just be a head coach, be an executive head coach, and worry about all the little things. So he needs somebody that he can truly hand this defense off to and say, you've got it. I'm going to focus on what I do over here and trust that they can do that. And there's a guy that's been in the league for over 20 years. He's probably never going to be a head coach again. He was once upon a time was a head coach for the Cleveland Browns. Oddly enough, had Kyle Shanahan as his offensive coordinator, and that's Mike Pettin. He was on some of those great Ravens teams as a quality control coach on defense, did some positional stuff. Then he was promoted to the Jets defensive coordinator when Rex Ryan, who was the D coordinator of those Ravens teams, left and went to coach the Jets. Pettin was his guy. Pettin was on the Packers once upon a time. He's had, I think, 5 top 10 scoring defenses, 4 or 5, and then another 5 or 6 top 10 yardage scoring defenses. So he's got some pedigree in this league. And right now, I think everybody looks at Minnesota and is like, man, I get in the playoffs, it didn't go great at all for the whole team. But Flores is innovative. He's aggressive. We love that. Well, guess who the assistant head coach and linebacker coach is over in Minnesota? It's one Mike Pettin. I would love to have somebody like that that's a full CEO, executive, not going anywhere, loves to just be a coach, and you can trust him to just run a really sound defense. So that would be my choice.
That's a great pick. I wonder what their relationship is like. They work together in Cleveland. Kyle requested his release. Who knows? Obviously Saleh would be perfect. One thing not working in Saleh's favor. It seems like if you were to get him, and that's no guarantee because a couple of teams, Raiders, Jaguars, Cowboys, interested in him as a head coach. Let's say he doesn't get any of those jobs. You get him. He turns your defense around, top 5 again. You go back to the playoffs, go deep. Well, all of a sudden you could lose him the very next year, right? Because it seems like he's still an attractive head coaching candidate, and people understand the Jets stink. So he may not be a long-term solution. He could be a temporary fix to get you guys back on the right track, which would be good considering, it could be a high-stakes year. But I think they're gonna, if they don't get Saleh, I still think he's their first choice. If they don't get Saleh, I think they're gonna get Dennis Allen, and I think that'll be interesting. Dennis Allen runs a 4-3, so there's a little bit of a fit. He might be willing to work with freaking Chris Kasarik. I don't know. But in terms of coverage, it would be way different. It'd be a lot more man-to-man coverage. I do think the Niners have the DBs to pull it off. You could argue that he's the best defensive coordinator available. He has had a lot of success. It's just that he's a lot like Kyle in terms of personality. That's my one thing about Dennis Allen. It feels like this team's been talking about how they want like some type of an emotional spark, and it won't be him. But maybe he's just so good at scheme, it won't matter.
What's the point of Staley anymore? Because Staley, right? What is the point? I don't get it, right? Like, what is the point?
You do here. He has people skills.
I'm a gosh damn people person.
People love me. Yeah.
I don't know. I
don't know.
To me, that
and they have to keep him, right? They probably gave him a 2-year contract.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually get about a 2 or 3 year deal as an assistant coach. And if you fire him, then he gets to go not be a coach for a year. And the Niners don't want to pay him to not be a coach. So he'll be here giving all of his really good ideas, observations, thoughts.
You know what was so telling to me about Staley and why it was an awful hire? It wasn't because he flopped as a head coach. There's a lot of good coordinators that flop as head coaches. But it was the fact that the Rams were in a situation like the 49ers last offseason. They needed a defensive coordinator, and they didn't even bring in Staley. If they liked him so much, they could have just brought him back to be their they didn't do it. So I thought that was an indictment of like, probably.
Harbaugh was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. What do you think about Allen, though? I mean, in terms of schematic changes, more man coverage, what is the word? Camouflaging, disguising defenses, camouflaging. I like all that, but in terms of his temperament, I mean, I don't know. Could it work?
I maybe. To me though, like it's an indictment on somebody. If we are saying, hey, you can't hire this guy because he's not the rah run up and down the sideline, veins popping out of the side of his neck, yelling at the top of his lungs. If you don't have that guy, you're not going to be successful, or you don't work here. Is that more of an indictment on Kyle or the players? Because to me, if you just bring in a guy that knows what the hell he's doing and runs a sound defense and can coach people up, that stuff should not matter.
I have a solution for this. If they can't get Saleh, bring in Dennis Allen and then hire a hype man whose one job is to just be tough and menacing. Like Big Dom. I'm serious. You could make him the head of security or whatever, and his job is just to be on the sideline and look tough and get hyped.
I like that.
I think why not, dude? I'll do it. I think you could do it.
I don't know if I'm big enough.
I think Coach could do it. Coach would get so hyped.
Coach definitely could. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coach could. He gets loud.
He could be the Niners version of Big Dom.
What? Perfect. Was it you that brought up Navarro Bowman at some point? No, I saw somebody.
But I'll take credit.
Navarro Bowman would be interesting because he's over with Harbaugh now. Obviously, but the problem is
linebackers in training,
right? But the problem is the 49ers are in a situation where they have to hit a home run. Like it has to be a guy that's established.
KJ Wright
can bring in a first-time guy.
He's not ready.
No, I don't think he's ready.
He's not ready. What about Ken Norton Jr.? If they hired Ken Norton Jr., can you imagine the response from the fan base? It'd be like, what?
The older fans would be like, I love Ken.
I love Ken. I always thought he was the best. Okay, free agency is around the corner. It matters. There's a lot at stake for the Niners this offseason. You could argue it's the most important offseason they've had for this regime. Yeah. Give me 2 free agents you think they should sign.
Well, I think the 49ers are now in a position where they can't break the bank. They can't be going off after big-time free agents. I think that they're going to struggle to sign some of their own guys. It's now a time where you have to win in the draft. You have to get your superstar players going forward through the draft, and you have to build depth through free agency. And so I've got 2 guys that I think will do that for sure. One of them comes from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a free agent this offseason, 2-time Super Bowl champion, maybe 3 after this year. We'll see. You probably could get him for around $3.5 million a year. Rotational defensive tackle, but a big body. One thing we know is that the 49ers don't have guys that eat up a lot of space and are great run defenders. They need somebody like that. And Mike Pennell is the perfect person. He's 6'4", 330, space eater. Anybody that wants to know about Pennell, just go watch the Super Bowl. He was a problem for the 49ers in their run game in the Super Bowl. He's a big boy. So that's somebody that I would love for them to bring in. He'll be 34 this year. Like I said, 1-year deal, $3.5 million. I think that I would love to have somebody like that. And then I'm going to look at somebody else at the corner position that is similar as far as they're not going to be expensive, has played at a really high level in this league. And then he's been a little bit down this year, but the whole defense was down this year until very, very recently. I believe he's 27 years old. He's played in all systems. He can play zone. He can play man. And I think with 2 other really good corners on this team, he definitely could be a guy that can come in nickel situations and be your outside corner. And that's Brandon Stevens of the Baltimore Ravens. He, like I said, he has had a little bit of a down year this year, but if you watch that whole defense, it's been down up until they made a switch to Kyle Hamilton to go to safety, and then the whole defense just picked it up. And quite frankly, they've got an all-pro safety over there. They've got an all-pro nickel corner and a young, elite, what it looks like, elite outside corner. So he's the weak link. He gets picked on a lot over there, and he still makes plays. So that's somebody that I'm looking at. Again, not very expensive. And if you drafted somebody better, then so be it. But he's going to give you depth as well. So Mike Pennell and Brandon Stevens are the guys that I'm looking at.
I like those picks. I think I'm looking at defensive line as well. A defensive tackle seems like it would be ideal, and I think Pennell's a good one. DJ Jones is an obvious one. I mean, you drafted him. He knows not only your system but your culture. Players know him. He fits in. Assuming you keep the wide nine, he would really help the run defense. Run defense has been an issue. I think he's a no-brainer if you can afford him. If he would be willing to come here for whatever the Niners would offer, a 1-year deal or whatever. And then on offense, I mean, I just think it'd be he fits the culture. They have so many guys they brought in last year who were from this team or that team, and it seems
You're talking about DJ Jones?
DJ Jones, yes.
Still? Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be nice to bring back someone from the original Super Bowl team.
I think he's going to be too expensive. You're probably right. Like $10 million, and I think next year he'll probably 29 years old. He'll be, I think 29. He's probably going to want a multiple year deal. Yeah. Probably around the $12 to $13 million range, and I think he'll get it from someone, man. I just don't know that they can afford, but great player.
Fair enough. Well, let me look at someone else on offense. They could use a new center. They could use a new right tackle for sure. But they do have guys under contract at that position. They're losing their left guard this offseason. I don't think they're going to re-sign Aaron Banks. They'll probably, I mean, they have Spencer Burford. I mean, they have guys that could fill in, but it'd be nice if they could go get a starting left guard who could play right away. Not necessarily be like someone they give a 4-year contract to, but how about Zach Martin? He's like 34 years old. He used to be an all-pro. I mean, he's been an all-pro a bajillion times. How about 1 year of Zach Martin? Kind of like when 15 years ago when the Niners had Larry Allen for a year or two. Like, how about right at the twilight of his career, someone kind of like Alex Mack? He could be good. I don't know if he'd be that expensive. You might get him on a 1-year deal. I don't know if he'd be interested in coming out here, but he might be.
Well, I'll throw another name out there. If he's not willing to do it, along the same exact line, Kevin Zeitler. He was on the Ravens 2 years ago. He's on the Lions this year. Very, very more than serviceable. Very good player. So yeah, Martin or Zeitler, I think could fit.
It'd be nice if they could get a starting left guard who's better than Aaron Banks and free. Like, we're taking this very seriously for a lot of reasons. We want to make this offensive, because the offensive line, you could say it's serviceable when healthy. It was like 13th on PFF. I mean, it's not bad. PFF offensive lines are kind of bad across the league, but if it would be good, that would really help, especially when you have a quarterback who's not necessarily great.
Yeah, I think I don't know. To me, it's pretty clear the way you build your team is quarterback, protect the quarterback, get after the quarterback. And you've got to really pour as many assets into those three things as possible if you want to compete in this league. They believe they found their quarterback. Great. So you got that figured out. But you've really got to protect him now, and you've got to get after the quarterback. And right now, they're weak in both of those areas. So what do you do to fix that this offseason? You got a lot of work to do in one offseason.
All right. So before we get into the next one, we got a lot of super chats. Nicholas says, Jesse, no.
Nicholas paid $2, and I feel like you shorted him 1-0 there. I don't.
Here's the thing: we're never gonna see Jesse ever again, except for on Jesse's channel and on my channel every few weeks, and on Niners Collective. It's gonna be terrible, man.
It's never gonna happen. Yeah,
it's never gonna happen again. Sir Cash Money says, so just do Niners before dark. No more problems.
Perfect. Thanks.
Cameron Ezel says, congratulations, Jesse. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Cameron.
Hugo says, Jess, I still need my hat. Hat King inboxed you.
Okay.
Marks the Boss says, end of an era. Heartbroken. Hi, Grant. Bye, Jesse, says Poop Saget.
Hey, you say his name now. That's great.
I did for you. Smack Jones says, congrats, Jesse. You rock now. Bring Vish back, Grant. Sure. JDM 408 says, Jesse and Coach at training camp this year again. I would imagine.
That's the plan. The problem is it's really hard to get training camp tickets. And my guy, David, that I do the post-game shows with, he's getting rid of his season tickets. So I don't know. Juan
Carlos Montano says Grantavious Cohn. Grantavious, thank you. Andrew Powell says Salah equals two free third-round picks, money in the bank.
If he leaves, yeah.
Casey Cole says, one of my favorite shows of the week. You guys are two of the realest in the game. Appreciate you two for keeping it real and staying true to your word. Congrats, Jesse. Hell yeah. Frank Tom Ocean member for 22 months. Sir Cash Money. Jesse went through watching how bad the Niners were in film review, realized he may have to do it again next season, and said, I gotta get a new career. Ryan too. Shout out to Ryan. Great. Frank Tom Ocean says, you have become my top 2 CC. Gonna miss this show. Me too. Shreddy Murphy says, can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Fire Kyle Shanahan equals Grant love language. Legendary. JN quotes, sad to see you go. Best of luck. Hell yeah. All right. So the Niners, it seems like Kyle Shanahan is finally going to have a football marriage with a quarterback. It's going to be Brock Purdy, going to be tied to the hip. There's other head coach quarterback combo. It's kind of the most important combo in football. How do you think the Niners combo stacks up to the other top combos in the NFC?
Yeah, and I think this is super important, Grant. I mean, anybody can do this. Go division by division in the NFL and pick your top head coach quarterback combo in that division. That's who won each and every division this year. Unless 49er fans, I'm sure, will say Kyle and Purdy, but I think most people would say McVay and Stafford. But outside of that, every other division, that's exactly what it was. Chalk, head coach, quarterback combo, that's who won the division. And when you look at the playoffs, that's kind of how it's played out so far in the playoffs. I would argue that the head coach and quarterback combo between the Texans and the Chargers is pretty even. So either way, I could have seen that one going either way. But if you look at every other game, I think that the head coach quarterback combo that was the best won those games. So I think it's increasingly important. It's interesting because there's so much that goes into football, but it really can be that simple sometimes that's what wins. And so looking at this, AFC, there's a lot of great combos, but for the NFC, how do the 49ers at least get back to the promised land and give themselves a chance to win a Super Bowl? Well, they've got to go through the NFC. And I think that there's only 2 combos that are like better to me, and then there's some that are on par. So I'll say the combos that are better are McVay and Stafford. I think they're the best combo out of all of them. And then I would say Campbell and Goff. Now, I think that one's controversial because you could probably, I was back and forth. Can I put them on par or would I say they're better? I just think Campbell right now is like ascending as a head coach. Not that he's better than Shanahan, but right now in this moment, I think he's at least there. And Jared Goff, say what you want about him. In a vacuum, I would probably choose Brock Purdy for the next 5 years because he's mobile, and I do like mobility at the quarterback position. But in this moment, Jared Goff has like 6 good seasons in the NFL on 2 different teams. He isn't coming off of a bad season. He's gotten it done multiple times. I mean, he's
coming off a 15-win season.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it. The team around him is really good. I'm not trying to prop him up as elite, but for a guy in Brock Purdy who's had a good season and a half a season and 1 mediocre season, and you're looking at Goff, who's like, well, he's put together 3 really good seasons in Detroit and another 2 or so with the Rams, and he made the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl with the Rams, and then he goes to Detroit and has made another NFC Championship, and who knows how far they're going to get this year. At some point, you just have to give him credit. So, yeah, I would say that combo right now is slightly better. And then on par for me, I would say Quinn and Daniels. Daniels is ascending. We'll see where his career goes, but in this moment, he's a very, very good quarterback. And Quinn's been around for a while. He's knows how to win in this league. And then this one is painful to say because
I know what you're going to say.
I'm not a fan of either of these guys. Who am I going to say? You
always have to give this coach the caveat. Like, let me just say, I don't like his work at all. All right, he really bugs me. But his record speaks for itself. He's so consistent. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
Yes,
it's the truth.
I just have to go off the production. I don't like either of them, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Well, we all know it's all about Big Dom out there in Philly. I mean, it's a Big Dom production.
It is a Big Dom production. That's true.
Yeah.
So
ask Trey Greenlaw.
I just think it's going to be really hard for the 49ers to get right back into the Super Bowl. I'll say that because there is some competition out there for them.
What about LaFleur and Love? Their stock's down, huh?
To me, even going into the playoffs, I had Love behind Brock slightly. I had him slightly behind him prior to the playoffs, or excuse me, prior to the season. Love just turns the ball over way too much for me. Brock had the same problem this year, but Love did it last year. Then he cleaned it up. He did it this year, and then he cleaned it up, and he did it again in the playoffs. And LaFleur, I don't think is just as I just don't think he's as good as.
That's
Shanahan,
the one thing you can say
I'd
about Brock in the playoffs. He hasn't turned the ball over very much.
Well, and he didn't turn the ball over for the first year and a half either.
Right.
He does put the ball in harm's way. I will say, Brock will go YOLO on you, and there were a lot of drop picks. I get all of that, but Love he's a true gunslinger at heart. Throws off his back foot 90% of the time. It's just I got to see more from Love before I'm even.
And when you listen to Tom Brady like call games that Jordan Love's in, he'll be like, "You can't do that. You can't." Like it's like, no. Like I know you're inexperienced, but man, you're gonna have to learn to not do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because he really does pattern his game. He looks like Aaron Rodgers as far as how he throws off platform, back foot, but as far as his willingness to just say F it, Aaron Rodgers never did that. And almost to a fault. He's just, I'm not going to turn the ball over. Jordan Love does not care. He's, triple coverage? Like, I can squeeze it in there. Let's go. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. All right. What about Gannon and Kyler? They're better than the Niners this year.
They were better than the Niners this year. Kyler's another one that's, from a talent standpoint, just like Love, from a talent standpoint, is there. Kyler even more so. I don't know that there's 4 quarterbacks in this league that are just more purely talented than Kyler, but something's missing. Something's missing.
It's called 4 inches.
No,
maybe 6.
Yeah, that's
missing. I'm so sorry with Kyler. I really like him. I do want to say though, the Cardinals are interesting because, like the Niners, they're gonna have a lot of cap space, but unlike the Niners, they don't have to spend it on their own players. They're going to go out and try to get a really good pass rusher or another wide receiver. They're going to try to make a big splash and make themselves contenders. I don't know if they can pull it off, but that'll be Kyler Murray's last chance.
They have $25 million more to spend than the 49ers, but like the Commanders have $50 million more dollars to spend, man. That's
tax-free state. Now, I don't know who only wants to hitch their way. But I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. got way better as the season went along. Trey McBride is good. James Conner's good. They put 47 on the Niners' ass. But I mean, they were really, season was over.
Well, they're at a spot now where, I mean, if Gannon going into his final year, potentially, if they don't make the playoffs, I mean, he might be gone.
True.
They might be willing, and I think that they're in a position. They definitely are money wise where they could say, hey, you know what? The draft was great last year. We built that. We're trying to win now. Let's just go get Myles Garrett this offseason and let's go sign T. Higgins. And now we've got our explosive receiver on the outside with our possession receiver, our really good tight end. We've locked up our running back. We drafted another running back. And now we're going to go get Myles Garrett. And we're going to build a little bit more on this offensive line. And let's see what happens. So that's a possibility.
Okay. Brock Purdy. I was looking at, everyone's looking at numbers for Brock right now because he's trying to make the case that he should make a lot of money. And I don't know if the Niners if the Niners are going to try to make a counter argument or not. I think they probably will. But everyone has their own narrative, their own opinion, and you're looking for evidence to support it. So we've seen recently people that think he should get paid $60 million plus. QBR so good. Even though it was a bad year, his QBR was up. Fine. I got my own stats, Jesse, and I'm looking splits. First half, second half. What's interesting about Brock to me is since he entered the league, just in the first half, second highest rated quarterback, passer rating after Lamar.
Yeah.
Wow. I get with Lamar, he's hard to prepare for, and probably when you see him for the first 30 minutes of the game, it's shocking because he's so fast. I can't really account for how successful Brock's been in the first half. He's a good quarterback, and maybe he's tough to prepare for. Not sure. But in the fourth quarter of close games, that's within 7 points one way or another, up or down, leading or trailing. This is a stat that you can find on ESPN. He's been pretty bad all 3 years, even in 2023 when the team was great. And when you put them all the numbers together for those 3 years, his passer rating is 70 in close games late, and he's got like 4 touchdown passes and 7 picks. What does that tell you, if anything? I mean, he's had some good performances in the playoffs late.
What's interesting about Brock is I don't think that his struggles are because he chokes. I don't. I think that he's made of all the right stuff, so to speak. He's got the right mentality. I think he's confident. I do think he's a leader. And I think that all those hold true. It's not like they just stop happening in the fourth quarter. I just think at some point, and I get it. Everybody hates him, draftism, and all these other things. At some point, talent does win in a violent sport that is about size and speed. It just does. And he doesn't have it. And he doesn't have the arm strength. And I do think that teams are surprised probably by Brock a little bit when they see him early. Short area quickness and all those things. He plays with confidence. He plays with a swagger. And when the 49ers get going, man, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It is tough. But there is some point in a game where it is on you as a quarterback. And that's going to happen more and more often when he gets paid, by the way. This is not going away. The game does come down to the quarterback position a lot. And I just think that when he has to throw and teams know he has to throw, that's when it's an issue. And when you're down or you're in tight games and you're in final drives, that's the reality. And I think that's also evident by the stat that I put out a couple weeks ago. And I think recently you had brought it up again. When he's asked to throw, even at the league average of like 32 times a game, it doesn't go well for him at all. He turns it over multiple times, almost every time that he has to do that. And it's not very often. But man, I just think it comes down to those physical limitations, and they're always going to be there. They are. You can only disguise them for so long. And when games are on the line and when you're asked to throw more, in both scenarios, you can say Brock doesn't perform well. And it's, again, I don't think it's because of who he is mentally or who he is here. I think he has all the right stuff. He just, gosh dang it, give him, if you could take his mentality and just put it into Kyler Murray, imagine what you would have from the talent aspect and all those things. Like, it would be crazy.
See, to me, I'm going to disagree with you there respectfully. Okay. I think it is a mental thing. It might be. Okay. Because we love Brock. He's so earnest. He tries so hard. It means so much to him. He does everything right. But that doesn't mean he's cool under pressure. I mean, he's quick under pressure, but he's demonstrably better in the first half than the second half. Whereas same system, same team, Jimmy Garoppolo in close games for like 6 years with the Niners, his quarterback rating was 104. So Jimmy, is he as good as Brock? Probably not. I mean, I love Brock's mobility and I love Brock's leadership and his work ethic. But
just for clarification, are you talking second half? It was 104?
Yeah, like fourth quarter, close games. Fourth quarter, close games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I just wanted clarification.
So the one thing that Jimmy had for him was like how much he didn't care. How blasé everything was for him. It's like, I threw a pick. I don't care. I'm smiling. And it seemed like he was kind of unflappable, and it annoyed the hell out of me. But to a degree, I think you want quarterbacks to have that, because it doesn't really help if you're like, oh my God, how did I do that? I can't believe I did that. And I think with Brock a little bit, we've seen it when the one mistake happens in certain games, the next drive, there can be, it leads to the next. And he's got a little bit of that Mike McGlincheyism where he's like, he means so well. He wants to be perfect. Not only that, but I think his mentality's changed a lot since he's gotten in the league. It went from like, prove you belong, be better than Nate Sudfeld. Stay here for a month after these guys have been hurt. Like, stay on the field. And then it was like, Prove that your arm is healthy. Prove that you're not a dink and dunk quarterback. And it kept building and building and building. And Cam Newton was like, people were taking shots at him, saying he's not really an MVP candidate. And then he was in the conversation. Then it all built to that crescendo on Christmas, where all he had to do was beat Lamar and play well, and he was going to be universally regarded as the MVP and crowned. And he choked. He had a freaking Sam Darnold performance. He had a Justin Herbert performance. And he even talked about it this year, that he needs to get back to the mentality he had when he first got in the league. I think he's gotten into some heady spaces with a lot of pressure beyond just win the game. And I think we've seen him really force things to prove how special he is or should be.
I do think that Brock is a bit of a gunslinger at heart. And I think that gunslinger mindsets and game manager skill sets don't go well together. And I think that Jimmy was a lot of that as well. And that was my biggest issue with Jimmy.
Yeah. Who do you think you are, Protect the Football?
Yeah.
Jimmy.
I mean, yeah.
The Jimmy story. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And Aaron, we just talked about Aaron Rodgers,
right? Like, hey, man, we know that you make some nice plays and you can twirl around and hold the ball for 8 seconds. But at the end of the day, you're throwing 27 passes tonight, and it's not about you.
This is who he was in college, though, too. And I remember saying, going into that first playoff year when he had started the 6 games or whatever, I said, one thing I'm not worried about with Brock is, just so you know, he's not going to fold mentally. That was my opinion. And I still feel that way about him. I said, he's not going to fold mentally in these playoffs. So get that out of your mind. I said, but one thing about Brock is that he will give you some Jimmy moments. And people didn't necessarily buy that. I know they didn't buy it when you talked about interceptions in the offseason. I know they didn't buy it when I would consistently bring up, hey, that like his turnover worthy plays are near the top of the league. Who cares? What are we talking about? Picks that aren't caught? It's like, yeah, but eventually those are caught. And unless you work that out of your system, you're going to start turning the ball over. And here we are. Now they are being caught in crucial moments. So this is Brock's makeup. This is what he is. I don't know that you're going to coach that out of him. And I just don't think he has the tools at his disposal to overcome those.
Dave Barclay says, what did I miss, brother Jess? Love you guys. Jesse has officially graduated from Cohn's Own University, and he's no longer working for free. That's what's up. Jesse's a pro's pro now. But we're still going to work together. Like I said, 4-man front, still going to go on. And what's cool about the 4-man front, the whole idea is it's on everyone's channel. We switch so that each person can take turns reaping the millions and millions of dollars that we get. Grifting off you 49er fans who hang off every word. Thank you very much. John Naylor, your brother, I'm assuming, says congrats, Jesse.
Not at all. Yeah, he's a Seahawks fan, though.
Joshua Wyatt says Niners have a McDonald's approach to the O-line. Cheap, fast, replaceable. They will go out and get another McTackle. Oh, but this time at guard. That's hilarious. I actually like that. They do have a McTackle.
Hold on. Sorry. Oh, man.
I like
Hold
that.
on. I got so excited I knocked my headset out. Hold on. Is it connecting? Oh man.
Hold on. Jesse has to leave.
Oh, I got it. I got it. No. I got it. We're good. I can hear you.
Another McTackle.
Got another one. A McTackle, dude. That's so good because
I like that.
McKivitz and then McGlinchey. Oh, that fits.
Yeah, whatever offensive lineman they're taking this year has to be a Mc something. A McDouble, a McTackle.
McRib.
Sir Cash Money says to everyone in the chat, if we keep super chatting Grant and Jesse, we'll have to keep the show going no matter what. To stop Jesse from leaving, we just need to keep super chatting. Keep the dream alive. That is true.
He is true.
Juan Carlos Montano says, congrats, Jesse.
Thank you.
Omar R says, appreciate you, Jesse. QB2 thoughts next season.
Man, there's a lot of choices out there. I threw out Carson Wentz at one point. Who's the guy that played for Tennessee? He wasn't even in the league this year.
Tannehill.
Oh, is he willing to come in and be a backup?
Maybe.
I don't know.
What do you
guys like that around?
Yeah. You've made $150 million in your career. Do you want to come hang out and be Brock Purdy's backup for nothing? Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Where do I sign? Live in Santa Clara? Even better. I like Santa Clara. They have Chick-fil-A and Five Guys and In-N-Out.
I was going to say, yeah, In-N-Out's the other one.
Hell yeah. Omar R says, appreciate you, Jess. Got you. Hold on. Niner Gang says, Grant, Jess, where do I find you on BR? Gonna miss you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can go to my channel too, Last Second Sports. I'm always there, but Bleacher Report, if you just go under the 49er section, every Thursday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, my show will pop up there. So
that's right. Juan Carlos Montano says, team keeps super chatting, so live never ends. Grantavius Cohn and Jessie Naylor.
Nice.
Sean Shepard, $100 says, don't leave, Jesse. Grant, read Isaiah 53. Most synagogues won't. Your temple was destroyed 40 years after Jesus died. How have Jews atoned yearly? Jewish isn't something to identify with. No, ask your rabbi what Isaiah 53 means. Love you, Grant. Blessed. Be blessed, Grant and Jesse. I did not see that one coming, but Sean, I
didn't either. Yeah.
I'll have to Isaiah 53. All right. I will. That's some deep Old Testament stuff. Sean Shepard says, it's okay. I'll be that guy. I really don't know what he was talking about.
I don't either.
I'll have to look into it.
I do appreciate it.
Eamon Brown says, as your mod, I will unblock you. Heartbroken.
Nice. Thanks.
Frisco Shill says, is it Brock or Kyle? Grant's article stating Kyle is 378% in one score games suggests it's Kyle. Can it be
Jimmy
both?
plays really well. Jimmy plays really well in those scenarios. That's the problem, is that you got to remember that Grant coined the term arsonist and firefighter. You can't be a firefighter if you're not putting out fires. And Jimmy Garoppolo was in the fourth quarter. That's how he got that. So
he was the
may
firefighter.
Have played really bad, but does anybody remember the Rams? What was it? 2 3rd and 16s back to back that he converted on? I mean,
he did.
Insane.
He had that clutch touchdown throw to Dante freaking Pettis to beat the Steelers after 5 turnovers in the game. I mean, he put out the fire.
Only Jimmy Garoppolo could have a pick 8, but then also recover and bring you back to win.
Can I just say though, like I kind of think of a football team or at least a regime as like a television show, and eventually they get canceled when they're boring and they're no longer good. And the Niners are like getting close. It's getting a little ridiculous at season 9. So I just think if this is the last season, wouldn't it be fitting to bring back Jimmy as like a surprise cameo, like guest star? Jimmy's back. Brock holds out, and the Niners can't get Kirk because he retires or trips and breaks his whatever. So they get Jimmy, and Jimmy isn't playing around this time.
The plan was always to bring back Kirk, but he never makes it because Jimmy just keeps undercutting the process. Yes. I love it.
Yes. Anyway, I'm hoping. Kilo TW says, thank you guys for the show. Thank you, Kilo. Gaiman Brown says, you've helped too many people start up their podcasting, YouTubing thumbnails, raising money for natural disasters. I don't know how to think, feel, do. It's true. Jesse's a real one.
Think, feel, do.
Think, feel, do. Slant Route says, wow, Jesse actually gets a final show. Congrats.
Well, there's no bad blood. We're, we love each other. It's time.
I saw what you tweeted about me yesterday. Are you kidding?
I did. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I did. You did.
Sean Shepard says, just to be clear, super chats are expensive when long. A pointed question, but I respect Grant 100%. And ethnicity, I believe his ethnicity is blessed and carried the oracles of God. Have a great night, Grant. I'm so lost, but I appreciate.
He meant authenticity, maybe
authenticity, ethnicity.
It probably auto-corrected ethnicity, maybe. I don't know.
Amaya says, my Mr. Spreadsheet keeps saying you bought subs. He said that, huh? Is that because he hasn't got many subs recently? Is that because he's stuck in with us? Is that because he kind of stuck? That's too bad, man. Maybe you should figure out what we doing on this side. How we getting these subs over here? Gammon Brown says, at least have the dignity to tell us that you are really 5'7" and your beard is a weave. I will miss the super chats that had Carlton dances. Hate 2025.
Dude, yeah, that was a thing. He's always joked because it seemed like for a while he would ask people's height when they would come on my show. It was like a running thing, and everybody was always 6'2". So it's like there's just no way there's this many people that are 6'2". I don't believe you're 6'2", Jesse. So he's always said I'm 5'7". So there you go. Which would make Grant 5'5". You guys have seen the pictures out there. So
Showtime 2118 says, Grant, whatever happened with your clothing merch? It was hard. It was fun though. But yeah, it was.
So hard.
It's hard.
I've still got a Conehead Grant Grant Cohn shirt somewhere.
That's a collector's item. It's worth a lot of money. Hold on to that. Sean Shepard says, how did you know I was 5'7", Gavin? 6 Minute Abs says, let's be real, Purdy good, but extremely undersized and has a weak arm. Premium backup. Get Milroe. Dude, carry Bama. No retreads. Thoughts on Milroe? Is he the next quarterbacks from Alabama named Jalen have done well?
I haven't broken down any of these guys, so I'm not putting my name on any of them, but it does seem like there's a lot of intriguing middle round guys in this one. You've got Dart, you've got Milroe. There's multiple guys out there, so I'm curious to see.
Poop Saget says, story time. How did you guys meet? Easy.
I'll give you the story. Yeah. I always wanted to do YouTube, but I didn't necessarily know how to like get into it. And then during the 2020 season, when the 49ers were awful, I stumbled upon Grant, and he was must watch when the 49ers would lose. So 49ers would lose, I'd go straight to watching Grant. And then he started doing the call-in shows. So I would call in and I was like, StreamYard, what's StreamYard? Which is the app that he uses. Started doing research. I was like, I can do this. Did that. Invited Grant on the channel. He came on before 100 subs. We did one show together. He asked me to do a weekly show, and here we are 4 years later. So I appreciate it.
That's right. We matched on Tinder, and it's been going steady ever since.
Is it left or right? I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way.
Brazilian Motto says, Random Q says, what position did you play in soccer? Which number did you rock? I was right mid, and I rocked number 8 for Steve Young, baby.
I love number 8.
But I wasn't that good. Like I didn't really have a good touch. So I would do a lot of like one touch, like give and go type stuff. A lot of like running to one post and then running back to the other post, and then just getting tired and then not running as much anymore and getting subbed out, and then eventually getting benched and not playing as much anymore. It was a great time. I loved high school soccer.
Is it fair to say that you were the Kyle Juszczyk of soccer and just always running in motion, but never
the cardio dude? I was Ricky Pearsall for a while, just out there. Running, doing stuff, no stats per se. Vincent Campos says Mandy is calling the Cohn gang the QB Glaze crew. What I don't understand about when people talk about us, like we're some like like we disagree about all kind of stuff. We don't have the same opinions about things. I don't understand. I don't get that.
I don't get it either. I think when we do disagree, it's always respectfully, which is the right way to do it, by the way. It's just sports. But we've definitely had some big time disagreements over the years.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of people watch all of us. And so it is, I would say the thing that I do the most on Twitter or even on my own show sometimes is defend takes that I never had. I'm like, that wasn't me. I think Ryan said that, but I didn't say that, or maybe Grant said that. So that does happen a lot where takes get intermingled, but we definitely disagree.
Definitely. The Stray Outdoors says, love watching the Cohn tree grow over the years. Been like 4 or 5 years. Since 6 Minute Abs says, Jesse, you can't get a workout in 5 minutes. Right.
That's great.
Official B&M Music 88 says, Jesse, Oregon's right tackle, a Johnny Cornelius. I'm all in.
Oregon offensive lineman, any Oregon, but just yes to Oregon players. Can we just say yes to all of them?
Sean Shepard says, Jesse, Isaiah 53:5. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And with his wounds, we are healed. How about that? What an incredible Jew Jesus was. I got to say. In the pantheons of Jews, he was up there.
I love a good Bible scripture. You're on it right now, Sean. I like this.
Yeah. I feel like Jews can always claim Jesus vicariously. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hold on. He spoke a little Aramaic.
The Jews and the Gentiles.
You know what I'm saying? Everyone wants Jesus on their team. Joey says, congrats, Jesse. Congrats, Jesse.
Thank you, Joey.
Okay. Before we go out, let's do a little sleeper pick. No, wait, that's the old sleeper pick. This is the new sleeper pick. Boom. Okay.
It's the new wave.
It's the new sleeper pick. All right. Houston, Kansas City. What do you like? Stroud, Mahomes, Mixon, Worthy. Who do you like?
This game is going to be interesting because the Chiefs haven't played since Christmas, really. We're talking like 20-something days. This is a long layoff. I know that they're great, but how much is that going to hurt? I don't know. It's true. Cold weather, good defense. Give me a Stroud on a interceptions, probably more. I feel like he's going to have to
hating. Straight to hating. I guess you are part of the Cohn crew, huh?
I am. It was CJ Stroud, who's like one of my favorite guys too. It's
true.
Crazy.
Mahomes. What about like
what's rushing yards? Can we do that? Rushing yards.
Sure. 22.5.
He runs he'll run in the playoffs, so give me that. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, let's go to another game. Hold on. Wait a second. Okay, that one. Boom. Daniels. What are we talking?
Man. What's the rushing yards set at?
56.5.
That's high. Gosh, I don't know that I love that or hate that. I would just not pick that. Is there like all TDs all in, or is it just pass and rush?
There should be. Yes. No.
How about rush attempts? What's his rush attempts at?
Oh, there we go. 9.5. He had 13 last game.
I don't feel good about any of this. Pass and rush yards. What is that? Let's one at the very end. Okay. What's that?
299. Ooh.
I'll go more actually. I think that this is going to be a shootout. I think that they're going to have to put up some, and I feel like he can throw for that. And then you add in the rushing. I'll go more on that.
Okay. What about Jared? 2.5 passing touchdowns.
I'll go less. Montgomery's going to be back, it sounds like. So they've got their guy near the goal line again, which they've been missing. So I'll go less.
That's a smart pick. All right. Moving right along. Do you want to go Kyren Williams, Saquon Barkley, or do you want to go quarterbacks here?
Do they let's check out Kyren Williams. Is there a rush attempts?
Yes. 18.5.
Oh, more.
I agree.
More. They run the ball like 30 times every game.
They do. Saquon. 109.
Anytime TD. Can we get an anytime TD in there? Is it?
Yeah.
25?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, last game. Last sleeper picks in 49ers After Dark history. Josh Allen, who's almost as good as Brock Purdy.
Let's not prop him up that much. 235
yards.
It's supposed to be 9 degrees, dude. It's gonna be freezing. It's
cold.
Do we have a combined yardage on him? What's his combined yardage?
286.
Let's go more on that one.
Okay, last one. Lamar Jackson for your son. Who's going to be pass and rush yards? 278.
What's his rush attempts?
9.5.
That's so high. Let's go pass and rush, and let's go less.
Ooh, I knew you were going to say it.
I think this is going to be a big Derrick Henry game. You can run on Buffalo. So,
all right. Well, let's flex it. Let's submit it. Download the Sleeper app today. Use promo code Cohn. Get entered to win. Sign George Kittle jersey. That's it.
That's all she wrote.
This was a really good show, Jesse. I've really enjoyed it. I really appreciate you. I'm grateful for you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, man. I'm grateful for you too. I'm grateful for everybody in the chat, and I'm gonna miss it, man. I really am. Thank you. 4 years, dude. It's crazy.
They're trying to extend it real quick. Joseph For Real says, AOG, check out AZ Chike song Oyster. And I just did it. You consider how that song is and his older music. That's the evolution I feel you've been through. Love you guys. Take care. I will. I love AZ Chike. I will. Oyster, and I just did it. Okay, I will. D Chip 72 says, love the show, guys. Congrats, Jesse. Fire Kyle. SLCUT. SLC.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Showtime 2118 says, Jesse, will you still be doing 4-man front?
Yeah.
Gammon Brown says, what's the initial feeling when you woke up and saw ESPN used your tweeted X take on a national level? Scared? Celebration?
You talking about the Trent Williams one? I thought it was cool. That was pretty cool. But everybody was burying me, man. It was crazy.
Sean Shepard says, put what I chatted together, Grant. You were logical. The temple was destroyed 40 years after he died. Isaiah 53 describes what the Messiah would do. The temple was destroyed because Jesus was the perfect sacrifice. Again, look to your history, why Isaiah 53 isn't preached modernly in synagogue. Okay, I will.
Dang.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
Wow,
I will look into Isaiah 53 next time you see me.
I will say this, man. As a Christian, you're going ham right now, and I like that you're on fire, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone. Thank you. Signing out last time.